Out for a walk today, beautiful day. And you can see there's lots of, I keep carrying this, but there's lots of ice on the puddles. We'll just see what we can find today, have some lunch and then come back. Okay, but as you can see, although we're next to the road, it won't be in a minute, but looking really nice today, blue skies, beautiful day. Come up now into some cedar woods. You can still hear the road, but we're a little bit further away now. Some cedar woods here. I'm going to get off the main track and have a look around a bit more. As you can see, it's a beautiful day even inside here, but surprisingly it's, well, not surprisingly, I know why, it is a lot warmer inside these trees than it was outside the trees, just blocking the little bit of wind that there is. Anyway, back soon. Just found my first thing. This is clematis. There's quite a lot of clematis in this area, which is chalk downland. And you can see from here there's quite a lot of stuff that you can pull off, which when it's dry makes good tender. Unfortunately when it rains it does soak up the rain a bit, so it does get fairly wet. But you can put it in your pocket and dry it, and it dries fairly quickly, so it's quite a good thing to keep in your pocket if you find it around the place. But better still is when that's dead, out there, like this down here is, you can break it fairly easily. And I don't know if you can see it very well, but you can see the inside of that is very dry. It also burns brilliantly, so that's good, and it also makes a good fireboard for a bow drill as well. But anyway, so that's clematis, called Old Man's Beard. I think there's quite a few that are, but this one is called it as well. Found in lots of woods, especially on chalk downland, likes that. That's that. Just run to this cedar tree here. This isn't a cedar tree, actually, this is a fir tree. Anyway, into this tree, and over time, I know I used to walk a long way to find what I wanted to find. Now I just take it as soon as I can, really, and I'm only a little way into the walk today, and there's a tree here with low branches on, very thin, and as we can see, easily break off, all very dry, so I'll take it all straight away, really. I think that's one of the biggest things I've learnt in the last 4 or 5 years is take it where you can when it comes to bushcraft, and that certainly applies to this. So as we go through, I've got some red seed, some cedar bark, and now I've got some small stuff as well. I'll take as much as I can from this, and by taking it early, of course, I can put it in pockets, and if you don't wear an outer layer or you don't move too fast, it'll dry in your pockets for when you want to light it later. And if you run into an emergency in the meantime, well, you've got the stuff on you, and you never know when an emergency is going to come about, when the weather forecast goes wrong or something like that. So it's always a good idea to gather while you can. So that's what I'm doing now, and then we'll move on, etc. But I don't know if you can see this, but it's just one of those lovely little things with the lights coming through the trees. Anyway, back soon. So I found in the high winds we've had recently here, which is Hampshire in England, you can see this tree's been blown down. There's another one over there that's been blown down, and given these are cedar, I'm going to see if I can get some fat wood off them. I've never done this before, so it's a bit of a learning curve for me. I've got this out of the root bowl, and it smells a little bit of turpentine, but not a huge amount. It is red in colour, like I've seen on the videos, so I'll have a go with that later. I'll try that out and see how that goes. And there's a stump over there I want to have a go at as well, since I'm here. So I'll have a go. But I think it's another example, really. I think carrying a small hatchet, this is my one I bought at a car boot sale, with you, can help a lot in harvesting. Since I don't skin a lot of game and things, carrying a knife, a big 4-inch knife for skinning game, that isn't right, but I don't really need it. But for when you're out and about here harvesting stuff, a hatchet seems to be a better tool for me. along with a saw, of course. You can't do without a saw, but anyway, as you can see, weather's still good. I'm going to have a look around and see if I can get any of this fat wood, which I've never ever found. I've running around for a while now, and there's quite a lot of this ground ivy around still. Ground ivy is good for making a tea, veg, and it's also good for making a tonic, I believe. Don't take my word for it, you need to look that one up. But let's see, ground ivy, which is this thing here. Okay, and I'll gather some and make a tea for later. I don't mind it, it's not my best thing in the world, but it's quite nice to just practice again. You can find it all over the place. This happens to be in wood, but you can find on the edge of woods. They're not very often in grassland and things like that. In fact, never found in grassland, but it's does like this sort of environment. In the storms we've had recently, which for us are quite storms, are about 80 mile-an-hour winds and things, show how localised wind can get. Just this one strip of trees has just been blown down for about, I don't know, 200 yards, something like that. Norwegian spruce, so they do usually respond quite well to the wind, and they've been completely bowled down. So now look, see if I can get some sap from these as well, because they've been damaged, a few damaged on the side at the same time. Interesting. Just what's that? 20 yards across maximum, and 200 yards deep. Hit by a surge of wind, and they all go over. So just another unusual view of this, all the tree stumps, the root balls poking out of the ground. That's quite funny. Look at the size of this thing. I mean, this was a well anchored tree and just blown straight out of the ground. You see, it's quite a sizable one. Put my rucksack down beside it, you'll see how big it was. Yeah, so it's the full size of the rucksack, and that puts the root ball into proportion as well. Pretty amazing. Anyway, and just found this Nature's Firelighter, spruce sap here, and loads of it, so I'm going to scrape some off into a plastic bag using my not so sharp knife, because I don't want to muck it up. But there's loads there, so I'm going to scrape some of that off and use that for lighting a fire later, or making it into a firelighter with a fern cone or something like that. I'm not sure yet, but it's quite good. It's good stuff. And just a point from last time, you see here another area where the wind has lashed in and knocked over lots of really good trees. So interesting. It's been more violent here than it was where I live. This is the amount of sap I've gathered off that tree. I'll use it for lighting a fire in a minute. But it's quite useful to know that this is the knife I use. It's my sort of splitting knife I carry if I'm not carrying an axe usually, or something like that, which is really useful. It's really thick at the top. I don't mind blunting it and stuff like that, but it's quite wide, quite a nice profile for splitting, etc. But you can see, don't really want to use my good knife for gathering this stuff, because it just gathers all the blade and take ages to clear off. You can burn it off, but that's not exactly a great thing to do. So it's quite nice to carry a knife like this, which is basically just a metal bar with a plastic thing on the end, and really for all the grotty jobs where you don't want to ruin a good knife, the sharpness of it or whatever. Nice to carry something like that occasionally. Okay. All the things for my fire as I've been walking around, as you've seen, and I've got my fire ready now. The wind's coming from behind me, so it's going to blow into the stack there. There's my pine sap on a plate of wood that I cut off earlier on. There's my clematis, then the next size up wood, and then finally, I don't really want a hot fire today. I'm just going to cook some salami and tomatoes on a stick, which I kind of got courtesy of Ray Mears a few years ago when I saw him doing something. I think it was in the New Forest, I can't remember where now. Anyway, so I haven't got a stand, so I can't show you me igniting it, but as soon as it's going, I'll show you what it looks like, and then I'll be cooking. The pine sap is ignited, took 3 or 4 strikes, but it's on its way, and the fire's starting to go. Bring it over slightly, like that. See, the pine sap is really an excellent fire starter. And that's got a bit of a hold. The clematis on the top, and there's nothing going to stop us then. There we go. Let's put that acrossways. While I wait for that, I brought my homemade stand in for my cup, which I use to heat that up for my tea. I'll put that in a second or two when it's going. And you see, a well prepared fire doesn't actually take a long time to get going. Quite glad when the smoke dies down there, because it's quite busy around here today. Right, I'm going to put the pencil ones on now. There we go. I'm deliberately going to keep this fire small, because I'm only doing a cup of tea and a very small lunch, so it's never going to be that big. It's about as big as it's going to get. Got some beech twigs, so they should burn a bit slower and give off a bit more heat for my salami, etc. Okay, back when I've got salami on and cooking. My salami and tomato ready to go. The fire's not quite ready yet. You notice my cup's on the stand there, which is my Trangia pot stove stand, but I'm looking at the videos and that it always heats up better if you can get the heat underneath it, so I use that for this as well, which has proven very useful. The GSI cup, whose handles never seem to get hot for some peculiar reason which I haven't worked out. So that's me for lunch, and when that's ready, give it another 5 minutes and we'll be cooking our salami and tomato over a lovely fire. In the meantime, my dog Fly is enjoying raw salami off to the side here. Okay? Yes. Back when I've done my tea. So it's cooking away quite nicely. It's gone down to a bed of coals, a little bit of smoke on the outside, but not too bad. Cup of coffee or round ivy tea, I'm not sure which yet. Sitting on the side there. It's quite nice, but you know, how small the fire is. You don't need a big fire really to cook this sort of thing. It's really easy to cook through, and I've already had a taste of it and it tastes absolutely delicious. So if you don't try salami and tomato on a stick, you really ought to. It is gorgeous. Okay. Well, that's lunch over, as you can see. Fire tidied away. No real indication I've been here, except a few compressed leaves where my backside was. A lovely 3-hour, 4-hour walk. Heading back to the car now. And still a very beautiful day.